Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Satisampajanna bhikkhave asati. Satisampajanna vipannassa Hatupa nisanghoti hirottappang ti. Dear Venerable Sisters, Dhamma friends, we are in a residential retreat. We can say we are full-time in intensive meditation, and it's a rare chance for each of us. Each of us knows how much it is difficult to get this opportunity. And individually, we put forth effort to have this opportunity, and lucky enough, thanks to the organization, we got it. Now it's a matter of maximizing its benefits. So simple fact is, the skillfulness we had already, skillfulness we showed already to come into this retreat and to have this solitude is not enough, simply not enough to go forward, to progress. So we must have more ways and means, strategies in order to maximize, in order to reap the benefits of this residential retreat time. So far we manage to renounce from our day-to-day life and our dear and near ones, and now come to the retreat atmosphere whereby we abide by precepts and surrounded by like-minded other yogis, and we have a separate kind of timetable and separate kind of arrangements. Everything is geared to have this physical solitude. It's called in Pali Kaya Viveka. Now it's a matter of improving it up to the Chitta Viveka, the mental solitude or concentration or the one-pointedness. So from this Kaya Viveka to Chitta Viveka is the challenge. So each of us must be careful, must take care to reap this Chitta Viveka and furtherance Panya Viveka or Upadi Viveka, that is to go to the liberation from the underlying tendencies and deep-rooted defilements. We must continue it while maintaining already earned solitude. So regarding that, the Buddha, after the enlightenment, he reflected back and tried to see how was it his own journey from the renouncement point of view to the Chitta Viveka and the Upadi Viveka. And he remembered so much of past lives. And there's a macro level evolution as well as a micro level evolution in the last life. So he, out of compassion, summarized all what he can remember so that we can refer it to and try our best together with our common sense. So there's a particular discourse in Anguttara Nikaya, Panchaka Nipata, Book of 5, which says Anugahita Sutta. How one can facilitate the next immediate goal and what are the basic limbs one must keep in mind. And the Buddha reduced it to 5 so that easy for someone to remember and to fulfill it. So it's a huge subject reduced to 5. Panchai bhikkave anuggahita samma ditti cetopala vimuttyacha hoti cetopala vimutti samapatyacha. Panyapala vimuttyacha hoti panyapala vimutti samapatyacha. O monks, the broad view that we have developed must be facilitated in 5 ways in order to achieve Cheto Vimutti or Panya Vimutti. Liberation from the mind or liberation from wisdom. So we all, or 50-50 maybe, or in another proportion maybe, we are going to experience our liberation through the Cheto Vimutti or Panya Vimutti. That means by getting rid of the desire, the other one is getting rid of ignorance. So we are 2 character types. Accordingly, 2 parts. Whatever it may be, these 5 limbs are practical and pragmatic and relevant. So before starting the main series, I thought of just summarizing it so that we all understand our common responsibility as well as our individual responsibility, so that the coherence of our group will be increased as we continue in this residential retreat. The first and foremost, under these 5 ways of facilitating is moral facilitate by our moral responsibilities. We call observing precepts. We, venerable monks and nuns, they have their own due precepts we call monastic code. It's a very large one and very involved and complicated set of rules. The laity, yogi, yogini, male and female mendicants, we took everyone to the 8 precepts as a base. So everyone of the lay participants must understand what does it mean by 8 precepts, literal meaning, as well as its a social implication, as a group, as well as an individual. So if you have any question, if you have any doubt, if you have any lack of understanding, please make it clear. And otherwise, whenever it become a failure or some kind of a complication, you may attribute to the lack of precepts or something like that, if you do not know theoretically what does it mean by precept. It has furtherance, it has its only the inferential knowledge also, the rational meaning also, and once that you have theoretical and inferential knowledge, then you are qualified to put into practice. So therefore, you must abide by moral responsibilities. As far as this retreat is concerned, we agreed to have 8 precepts. So, if someone is breaking it, our whole atmosphere will be violated and formally or informally affecting and disturbing the group atmosphere as well as that particular person's mentality, and it is very related, very proximately concerned with the one-pointedness and calmness of the mind. So therefore, one must understand how to maintain the integrity of the moral responsibilities. It is highly related to the subject matter we have selected for this discourse also, for this series also. The particular sutta, particular discourse we selected also related to this subject. So we may be going little in detail, day by day, in time to come. The second one is listening to Dhamma. So that is why daily we have allocated at least 1 hour. You are renewing, you are listening and refresh your knowledge. So each of us, each of you are experts in your own subject matter. So therefore, I have nothing to teach about that. Even the literal meaning of the Tripitaka or 3 baskets, now there is no limit. Each and every individual they have access to the electronic and other things. So therefore, each and everyone is well versed regarding the just theory understanding also. So there's a necessity to listen to the Dhamma just like a beginner. So therefore, it is my duty to deliver the talk on the pragmatic basis, not just mere theory for the sake of theory. So I maintain, I understand, I believe you all have, each and everyone who is having enough understanding about the theory, but my way of presentation is to implicate the practical side and the pragmatic side and how we are progressing as we keep on continuing day by day with our sitting, walking and day-to-day activities. So therefore, 1 hour is a valuable time per day we have theoretically allocated for this Dhamma talk. That's the second way of facilitating our already earned solitude and leading it to the calmness and the concentration or one-pointedness of your mind. So anything you are going to listen within this period of residential retreat, which is disturbing your mind, which is disturbing your one-pointedness, that we must do away with. That is why we are advising everyone, please maintain noble silence and still listen to the teaching of the Buddha, and that also must be in a pragmatic, practical way, so that each and everyone can reap benefits by listening to it, because it is very immediate instructions how to carry out the mindfulness throughout. The third aspect is the discussion. So we are going to have a discussion session in the late evening, and there we can have a dialogue. In a Dhamma talk, one person is talking, everyone is listening. It's one way of, only the linear way of flowing of information. But in a discussion, it can be a dialogue. Both the parties can discuss each other. So we have laid down some rules and regulation, how we can maintain or make use the time for the discussion. Whenever you are presenting your experience, your questions, your statements, your comments, it must be related to your practice. It must not be for the theory sake of theory. If it is so, sorry to say, we will not take that into consideration. We only take what we can sort it out, we can answer, we take responsibility about our practice. So discussion must be, discussion is within the limit of our practical approach and a pragmatic. So this discussion must be very interactive, and that is how we are rectifying then and there questions, which is supposed to arise as we progress. And meanwhile, there may be some repetition of the basic instructions also, as and when question arises. So this is a kind of a dialogue, and this has been highly recommended by the Buddha, because the basic teachings of the Buddha is highly rational. Anyone can question. It is not a holy book. It is not something you can't question. You have to accept utterly by faith. So this is the difference of teaching of the Buddha is so pragmatic. The Buddha says, I am declaring or my statement is coming out of omniscient knowledge, but still don't accept it. If you have any doubt, please raise questions. And if it is not clear, I don't believe that you can progress. So therefore, each and every individual, they have equal rights to ask questions and present their own view. And of course, pertaining to your practice, not related to other political issues, social issues, and economic issues. So therefore, this dialogue also 1/5 of the way we are facilitating towards our next step in the chain of progress towards our desired goal. The fourth one is concentration meditation or calmness. So this is the place is known as jhana group, and it is utterly prepared, well facilitated, someone to have their kind of solitude which is more conducive for the absorption or concentration or one-pointedness. So it is your moral responsibility, theoretical understanding and discussions. Once these things are mature enough, mind is ready to be calmed down, and it is prepared for this one-pointedness. And that is also one part, not only by early 3 aspects, but you have to take effort. You have to put forth effort to make the mind calm and make it like a bright mirror, so it can reflect very nicely what is happening internally and externally. So that concentration also appreciated and listed as the fourth aspect of facilitating our desired goal. The last is the wisdom aspect. With the help of precepts and the theoretical understanding and knowledge, or book knowledge. And the third aspect is the discussion and the dialogue. And the fourth one is the concentration. Only then and then only the wisdom can arise. So therefore these are chain actions. So individually, as I mentioned earlier, or as a group, we must try to maintain all these proximate factors, the facilitating factors. That is why we come to a place like this. That's why we select conducive places we call monastery, and that we can expect in the forest or under a tree, or a place like this we call solitude place. So this is to indicate we are all in the same boat, so we must know what are the basic tenets whereby we must abide, so that we have individual as well as mutual benefit for each one of us to progress, go forward. If anything goes wrong, you have to look back and see whether your precepts are not up to the mark, or your theory understanding is not up to the mark, or your clarity in your dialogue, in the communication, if it is not so, that you have to rectify, and the concentration aspect and the wisdom aspect. So it is brushing and replenishing all the time. We are not attributing our failure or success to one single aspect. There are a lot of variables. Of course, it must be many, but this is the way the Buddha compiled and reduced into 5. And it is my duty just to explain them so that we all know how to rectify them and go. Then only we can go into our subject matter. We selected Satisampajanna Sutta, and it is the mindfulness and the clear comprehension. That particular sutta is starting with that particular name. Accordingly, in the synods, the Maha, the Arahants put that, given that name, and presently it is appearing in the Anguttara Nikaya, that is gradual sayings, number 8. There are 8 steps, whereby the Buddha himself giving some relationship between some mental concomitants or mental factors. So we have to individually understand each and every mental factor and how they initiate the momentum, the acceleration and the chain reaction towards the superhuman kind of achievement. So first and foremost is mindfulness. Satisampajanna bhikkhave asati, Satisampajanna vipannasa hatupanisaṁ hoti hirottappam. Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi translated in this or monks or bhikkhus, when there is no mindfulness and clear comprehension. Satisampajanna bhikkhave asati. If someone is lacking mindfulness and the clear comprehension, for one deficient in mindfulness and clear comprehension, the sense of moral shame and the moral fear lack their proximate cause. So to have someone to have moral shame and the moral dread or moral fear, proximate cause, most conducive situation is to be mindful, be with clear comprehension. So our retreat basically we introduce as Satipatthana, that is the establishment of the mindfulness. So therefore I hope everyone knows some meanings of the mindfulness. So still we have to refine it, because it is kind of a dynamic thing, dialectic thing. So then and there we will be refining the meaning of mindfulness as well as the clear comprehension. In Pali it is called Satisampajanna. We try to define mindfulness as the mindfulness on your body, Kaya Anupassana. So this is the opening definition. When and where you are aware of your bodily posture. When and where you are aware, here, now, I am, that is what we call, we are mindful. So when and where you do not know your bodily posture, here, now I am, instead if you are interested or mind is worrying about the past things happen, or excited regarding the future projections, or if you are thinking about another person, another place, under this definition we call, we are not mindful. So we sit down, leave aside all the other responsibilities and cut off your eyes so that visual objects and the seeing physically we cut off, and we go to a silent place whereby listening is not disturbing us, we are not listeners then, and then smell and taste usually won't make much of a problem. So we usually go to the normal atmosphere so that no smell or scent is distracting us, and we are not eating and tasting something, and therefore eye, ear, nose, tongue, and the body, you keep it in such a way, fix it in such a way, in the sitting posture, you can maintain the posture for a fairly long time. And then your mind, attention, adverting basically to scan through your body. See how is my sitting body. You are looking at the sitting body but with closed eyes. So that is why we call scanning the body posture. So when you are scanning from the top of the head to up to the toes, you can understand, you can configure it with your mental eye, and this is a sitting posture. As far as you are sit in front of the Buddha with the statue, so that is the normal, idealistic posture, and you also try to assimilate it and try to keep mind as much as possible with the comfortable sitting. You make it more symmetrical. You make your limbs very relaxed. And keep the upper part of your body, as I tried to mention yesterday, straight, and see and make sure and verify how much I can make sure that mind and the body is aligned. When and where the mind and body align, we call mindful. Whenever we are not aligned, with the mind is past and the future and other places and other people, then we equally know unmindfulness. Of course, unmindfulness you will learn as a secondary lesson as far as you try to keep the mindfulness as such. So we give basic instructions and give the most conducive conditions for the mindfulness to set in. And not only that, your knowledge on the spot. Now I am mindful, now I am not mindful. You mindful and verifiably you can say, because I feel the touch when I am sitting. Therefore, I know I am mindful. I feel in-breath and out-breath in particular place. Therefore, I know I am mindful. Or you feel the expansion and the contraction of your body when it is, the tummy is touching your clothings and other kind of thing. So you know you are not dead. You know you are not asleep. You know you are not unconscious, unmindful. So these are the things appear like very simple, very down to earth, very straightforward, but this is how you verify that I am mindful. Not only that, you have to express that those under the nose kind of experience to another person in the discussion or to your teacher or the kind of thing, and then only your knowledge will be reinforced. Then only your knowledge will be galvanized. So we are trying our best, just like newly born baby. We never assume that we know them and there's no much of a economic value for that to understand the in-breath. When in-breath is happening, I know in-breath. When the out-breath is happening, I know out-breath. What kind of a economic gain? What kind of political gain? What kind of social gain? Nothing. But this is to establish mindfulness. So the Buddha explained that must go hand in hand with clear comprehension. Then as a result, it makes the conducive conditions, proximate factors for you to arouse moral shame and the moral fear. So moral shame and the moral fear are called ethical responsibilities or moral responsibilities. So present day, specifically we are in a technological age where we can see utterly these values have been eroded, and the new generations, one after the other, they are social intelligence, emotional intelligence, emotional literacy is fast eroding. And they are very high, technologically high class, top class thinking, and very specific, very scientific, very advanced in technology, but simply they are lacking the common sense. That's the most uncommon thing on the earth now is common sense. They don't have feeling about the global warming. They don't have any feeling about the defiling or polluting the earth and polluting one's own mind. So therefore, so much of frustration, so much of tension. More the technological development, more the frustration and the tension. So therefore, we are very lucky in the sense, those who born before 1970, they can understand within this period of time, how much this is going to give bad consequences. So if you're attributing that everything to one factor, it's of course not one factor, it's a couplet, moral shame and the moral fear. They don't care. They are so engrossed with sense pleasure. If the sense pleasure is there, they don't care about moral shame and the moral fear. And we can see that is going to happen in the younger generation. And even the present day generation also, when compared to the old generation, they are feeling for the nature, feeling for the other living beings, becoming less and less. The danger is you can't stop it. No way. No one is thinking. Of course, one aspect, as far as the one aspect is concerned, we are somewhat lucky because for the last 30-40 years, the people or society at large were concerned about mindfulness. It is not limited to the eastern part now. Now it's gone to the west, the America, the Europe and Australia, Indonesia, the Malaysia kind. All the people now more are talking about mindfulness. It's becoming the mainstream subject. But still, I would put it this way. Before that, when myself was taking the mindfulness the foremost, I was under the impression, and I used to say, mindfulness, as far as the mindfulness is concerned, there is no side effects, no after effects. It's ever good. That's panacea. So I used to tell others, that is how I believe it, therefore I put everything in the second place. Mindfulness is the first and foremost, because in the Satisampajanna Sutta, the Buddha mentioned, Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo. O monks, is the one and the only way for the purification of the being. The purification of the being is the first benefit. And then, soka paridhavana samatikkamaya, dukkha domana sattakamaya, nyaya sadhikamaya, nibbanasa satchikiriyaya. To get rid of grief and lamentation, physical and mental pain, and to understand the pathway of liberation, and last the liberation. So there are 7 benefits. We are just citing here the first and foremost, purification of the being. So, thanks to Venerable Dhammika, as I mentioned, he was an Australian monk. Lucky enough, he spent fairly good time in Sri Lanka. And we had that discussion, and we were under the impression the mindfulness is the only thing, the panacea, and there is no complaint, because no side effects, no after effects. But when and where mindfulness put into practice and put into the laboratory and put into research, they say not that mindfulness is without side effects and after effects. So they are searching what are the bad consequences if you go into practice mindfulness. They say after 26 years of research and practice, UK publishing article, they say even though they have introduced mindfulness to the classrooms, they have 26 years or number of years of experience, but still the children are very self-centered. They are always using mindfulness to get the higher marks in the class and to compete others. So therefore still they don't have social intelligence. They don't have emotional intelligence. They don't have emotional literacy. Instead, we are illiterate emotionally because we are always trying our one-upmanship to compete everyone and be the first and to get the maximum sense pleasure. They are driven by pleasure principle. So therefore mindfulness is not the sole answer, or it is not the panacea. So it was little hurting. I was always talking about the mindfulness is the answer. So I also started as an experiment to give mindfulness to the young children, thinking it is a panacea. So we ourselves have now 3 to 4 years of vast experience in teaching mindfulness to children. And still we don't have any kind of repercussions. We have a very smooth path, least frictional path. We don't feel much of that side effects and after effects. So therefore I have to depend on the Western research papers to understand what does it means. Because I am looking from the Asiatic point of view, traditional point of view, born Buddhist point of view. When we keep on observing the Tripitaka, whereby the Buddha is explaining this 2600 years ago, UK is explaining with 26 years experience and appear like contradictory. They say even though if you are learning and practicing mindfulness, the total purification is not happening. Still they are self-centered. Still they are with one-upmanship. What to do? And they recommend, of course it's a constructive, they recommend not only mindfulness, we have to develop kindfulness or kindness or loving kindness. Then only children will understand how to put in their day-to-day activities, how to put into the classroom atmosphere, how to put into the society at large atmosphere. So they are kindly presented this idea, please, mindful school people, please introduce kindness and the metta or loving kindness together with mindfulness. So just before my coming, Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi sent me that article, because in this article 2-3 times the Bhikkhu Bodhi's name was mentioned. So he told Dhammajiva, I got this, I hope it is very valuable for you. Please, if you have not yet introduced kindness or metta into your Satipasala or mindful school, please consider. So I appreciated his the research area is fairly a comprehensive one, less amount of criticism, and it is more to the pragmatic side. So I came with that idea. I was just studying the paper, and when we were in Brisbane, we started with this particular sutta. It says, if you wish to develop emotional literacy, if you wish to develop social intelligence, if you wish to develop social emotional intelligence, not the kindness and the metta or mindfulness, the loving kindness, you have to couple mindfulness with clear comprehension. Whenever the mindfulness and the clear comprehension couple, the outcome is moral shame and the moral fear. If there is no mindfulness and the clear comprehension, you can't expect even the base or background proximate cause for moral shame and the moral fear, in Pali we call hiriotap, to happen. And the latter part of the sutta, Buddha says, Satisampajanna bhikkhave sati, Satisampajanna bhikkhave sampayut sampannasa Upanisa sampannang hoti hirottappang. O monks, if someone is developing mindfulness and the clear comprehension, definitely he is developing the proximate cause or conducive conditions for the moral shame and the moral fear to arise. So this is the thing we have to discuss today. This is the theme. So for my life, it was very dramatic and it's impactful in 2 ways. Because when I started mindfulness, I was in the university and I was never concerned about moral shame and the moral fear. Utterly with sense pleasure. University, the robust young man. So who the hell going to teach moral shame and the moral fear? But I am a successful character, that is why I went to the university. So I was in a full-fledged sense pleasure, indulgence. And when I meet Venerable Dhammika also, I never expected him to teach me meditation. But he told this is the only subject he is concerned, otherwise please get out. So ultimately it happened me to compromise, even though it is meditation, he is a Sudhu Hamduro, white skin, I have the attraction. So I was listening to him, he told this is the core teaching of the Buddha, the mindfulness. If it is not so, what is the use of our relationship? Just gossiping, just frivolous talks, just whiling away our time. So somehow or the other I agreed to go with him and talk with him and sit with him and all the kind. Then I told Bhante, I am an immoral person. I am utterly with sense pleasure. So how can I sit with you? You are a monk and I am a person with self-indulgence and sense pleasure. There he was, I don't know, at that time I thought it is only he is pacifying me. He told, never mind, you practice and see what is going to happen. I had utter doubt. Without even the moral shame and the moral fear, how can I qualify myself to sit among meditating people? How can I qualify myself to go to religious places? How can I talk with a person like Venerable Dhammika? So his Western thinking or Australian kind of thinking was utterly helpful for me. He told, don't worry, you just keep on practicing. So while practicing, of course, I took about 7 to 8 years. Because I never practiced full time and practicing very, very mild way, very, very in a part-time job-like thing. He told, never mind. Mindfulness is such a thing, you can't do it in a regimented manner. You can't do it in a... You cannot be smart. You have to go with time. Slowly, 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 slowly. So while it is happening, of course, very soon after he introduced mindfulness, the Goenkaji, Munindraji came to Sri Lanka and I got a chance to go and sit. I went there because of Venerable Dhammika. I got a chance to sit. He used to come daily basis only to the talks. And there I found that even though I don't have much of moral history or appreciation, I can live without the dinner. I can sit with other meditating people. And I know it will never give any results because I am morally not qualified. But while practicing, I experience some kind of alignment of the mind and body and the mind alignment and some kind of improvements. So I tried to communicate with Munindraji and he told these experiences are more towards concentration type, where I am not appreciating it. Please go back and try in the insight way. So I thought whatever it may be good enough for me because I am an immoral person and mindfulness is working. And I never practiced sitting meditation. I had no formal time for walking, unless otherwise for that residential retreat, I was just observing, brushing teeth and eating, walking up and down. So each and every time I found like making a garland, putting one flower after the other into the same garland and kind of improvement. So I try my best to go and talk with Venerable Dhammika. I told Bhante, I don't understand how come that mindfulness is gathering the momentum without moral shame and moral fear. Slam breaking precepts. Then he told, don't worry, I am also in the same age as a young person. These are the kind of precepts I have broken. So it is normal for a young man. So I thought he is trying to pacify me. But while it is happening, I developed an idea, best thing is to become a monk and giving the whole life for mindfulness. One side. The other side says, you are morally not qualified. But pragmatically and practically, Venerable Dhammika was a role model and he was answering each and every question. While it is happening, I thought of one day I had to be a monk, and therefore slowly, slowly, this obedience and responsibility, moral fear and moral shame slowly increased. So make the long story short, I became a monk. And I went to Nissarana. And when I have no any Pali understanding, no Buddhist philosophy or culture, nothing. I had my scientific background. And when I go there, whenever Jnanarama, my preceptor, he gave a talk on this topic, on this sutta. He says, if you have mindfulness and the clear comprehension, naturally moral shame and the moral fear will arise. So I used to think, first and foremost, you have to be morally abiding, then only you can go for meditation. But this says, meditation is the one making the firm basis for your moral shame and the moral fear or precepts. Completely other way around. But it's a direct teaching of the Buddha. We in Dhammajiva or Sunday school, we learn Sila, Samadhi, Panya. First you have to Sila, and then now you are going to the Samadhi, the concentration, and the last one is Panya. So moral restraint, concentration restraint, and wisdom restraint. So moral shame and the moral fear definitely come under the moral restraint. Without moral restraint, our parents and our traditional teachers never allow newcomers to start meditation. But when Dhammika told, no problem, you just do and see, because no harm. And later I found one of the most senior monks in Sri Lanka, he is giving this particular sutta, and it was like a real boost or real kick for me to go forward. And then onward I was often referred to this particular sutta, how the Buddha see the reciprocal way, not the morality leading to concentration and wisdom, but the concentration and wisdom leading to morality. And that means they are reciprocal each other. So whenever you are taking a challenge like residential retreat or full-time meditation, you can understand how much you become sensitive to the nature. How much you can become tuned to the tiny little senses, tiny little signals, and how much you get tuned. For example, if you are not mindful, the outside world will be very noisy and busy and all the kind of, you don't care. But whenever you try to be mindful, even a tiny little noise or tiny little thing become fully amplified. So if you do not know the art, if you do not have the theoretical understanding, you will wait every tiny little signals to not to happen as far as you are practicing. But this indicates, never mind, that amplification, that tuning is because of your mindfulness. So therefore, don't make a complaint, don't make charge sheet for the oncoming distractions, and be alert with it, face with it, and see how much you can maintain the integrity of mindfulness amidst of little bit of sounds, little bit of pains, little bit of daydreaming, fantasizing and thinking. And the day you put into the correct perspective, you find more than you expected, mindfulness can thrive, mindfulness can pervade, mindfulness can see through distractions. So that is the point where the clear comprehension comes into being. I put it in this way. When and where you are sitting, and as far as there are no outside, of course you have closed eyes and sounds also not distracting, and the smell and taste also not there, and body pain also not there, we'll assume as that. And so much so you can keep the track with the breath, in-breath and out-breath. Or so much so you can keep track with the rising and falling, expansion, contraction, and your touching point. So then we call it, because my body is with mind and mind is with the body, I am introvert, I can make sure I am mindful. Suppose after 20 minutes, a pain arise in your left knee. And now you know all the peace gone and you are fighting with the arising pain and you are irritated, agitated and finding fault with yourself. What the hell, this leg is giving pain, and if I can have without that leg, I would have continued mindfulness life. If you can present this situation as your question, as your observation, as your experience, the person who is with clear comprehension would say, yes, pain is there. How is the mindfulness with pain and without pain? What is the comparison? So it's a kind of a challenge, it's a kind of a question paper. If you wish to advance into the next class, take this question paper, just face the question pain. Definitely the candidate will be desperate. Tell him what the hell that pain is coming and how can I look at the pain, how can I face the pain. So that means it's an utter distraction, a disturbance for my mindfulness. But of course after a few trial and error, one day, because at the beginning you have a negative feeling, hateful feeling to the pain, so therefore you are not looking at the pain as such, you consider it as an enemy or consider it as something negative happen because you are innocent, mindful practitioner, that bloody pain come and distract you. Instead, the day you see pain, not that whole pain you can see through, but little bit you can be with the pain, and occasionally you may see while the pain is there, breath also there. Or you are rising and falling, if that is your primary, that is also there. And while the pain is there, you know you are not dead. You know you are not sleeping. You know you are not unconscious. Your primary object is waiting. The day you see through the pain, the day you look through the pain, you can understand in deep down, your primary object is there. Your mindfulness is there. Even though threatening thing happen, even though something distracting, don't give up. Try to see through this pain, or see through this sound, or see through this thought. And it's a complete radical kind of reflection. So earlier you were with one variable, single primary object and mindfulness. Now two variables, the mindfulness versus the distraction. Still how can you maintain the mindfulness? Definitely your mindfulness is not so strong as single object. But you will see, so you can see through the distraction. For that you must have a kind of a new observation, new viewpoint, new perspective to the distraction. Not to consider it in a negative way, consider it as a challenge. Look at it non-judgmental way. Look at it in an unassuming way. Look at it that you never invited the pain, you never invited thought, you never invited sounds, they come. But still, how much you can maintain your mindfulness. That way, whenever such a threatening thing happen, distracting thing happen, how much still you can have the positive thinking and connected with the mindfulness is fair, you can understand comprehension, clear comprehension. The little bit of pain, little bit of thought, little bit of sounds, it's not completely wiping it off your mindfulness. And if you know how to maximize already earned mindfulness, how to protect already earned mindfulness, you have to, there's a method, there's a way, see through the pain, the sound, the thought. And that is the point where the clear comprehension come into being. And in the Satisampajanna Sutta, the Buddha mentioned not only in the basic 4 cardinal postures, that means sitting, walking, standing and lying down, in between posture junctions, while you are from sitting to standing up, from the walking to standing situation, from the standing to sitting posture, these junctions are not utterly breaking your mindfulness, still you can be little bit maintain awareness, mindfulness, while the postures are changing one to the other. And while objects of your meditation changing from one to the other, not you are changing, it is due to the external factors, they come and threat you. Your main thing is not to worry, just see the possibility, just be mindful amidst of some little bit of pain, little bit of thought, little bit of sounds. Or at the onset of sounds, onset of pain, onset of thoughts, and then you maybe succumb to the situation. And next time also, when you keep on observing, you can see your resistance, you can your tolerance, and the forbearance and preparedness is increasing. So this is to reduce everything into one single term. Whenever you are sitting, you go prepared, thought may come, pain may happen, sounds may happen, never mind. They are not coming to distract me, that is the nature. How much I can be aware, now the threat happens with the pain, still, can I see through the pain? Look through the pain? And you have already appointed primary object. And therefore you are already mindful. Now it's a matter of the protection, the sustaining and maintaining already earned mindfulness amidst of little bit of distraction. Like if you are the captain in the sea, you can sail in the calm and quiet sea. But if the sea is going to become little rugged, so you must know how far you can still sail, or how far you have to anchor the sail and protect, not to sail but to protect. Likewise, when you are in the meditation, as far as the situations are with a lot of conducive conditions and the proximate causes are good, you continue with mindfulness. And there are little bit of sound, little bit of thought, little bit of pain arises, don't give up. Just see the possibility, how much you can maintain. That we call clear comprehension. So that means your range where you can practice mindfulness is expanding. So I put the term, your mindfulness become diversified. Not utterly conducive conditions, even little bit of distractions happen, you never give up. So that we can attribute to the preparedness. That is what you call preparedness. So that is what Sir Baden-Powell is teaching in scouting. First and foremost, all the scouts, girl guys, must be prepared. In Sinhala we call Sudanan Sarire. So this is what the Buddha explained as Appamada. Don't let the things become very aggressive and developed. As and when the distraction happen, be aware. Don't give up. Just try to maintain the mindfulness, keep the relationship with your already assigned primary object, and you find you have so much of capacity. So ultimately what happens is, even thinking, daydreaming, fantasizing, everything happened. Earlier you used to be very regretful. I am disqualified to meditate because I am always daydreaming, fantasizing, thinking. Now you say, never mind, darling. It is not to think, it is not your intention, it is not your willful thing. It is happens. So therefore don't worry about daydreaming, fantasizing, thinking, and see how often you can see through and be aware your primary object. Occasionally you may notice while thinking, breathing is happening. While thinking, in-breath and out-breath, rising and falling can happen. You can feel you are sitting. That's the easiest way to say. Even you are utterly taken for a ride by thinking and daydreaming, there is a verifiability to make sure I am not walking. I am not standing. I am not lying down. I am sitting. That is called proprioception. It's a neurologically understood situation. Whatever the difficult or threatening task, mind is occasionally check your posture and say you are uncomfortable, please adjust yourself. And proprioception is your proportion, the way you sit. So it is an inbuilt situation. It is not your ability. It is not your developed thing. It is your human quality. So proprioception is even the pain is there, thought is there, mind, unmindfulness ever there. If you take the sitting posture or touching point as your primary object, you can look into that. And now, only now, you are making use it. That using of this proprioception is called resilience. Even the adverse situation happen, how quickly you can come back to your at-home situation, your norm. So overall what happens is, you sympathize yourself. You never curse yourself. You never regret about yourself. You consider this as a challenge. And when and where you learn this art, this is not simple mindfulness, the skillfulness, this is the clear comprehension with mindfulness, you start to forgive and forget about yourself. Otherwise, elderly generation utterly desperate, worrying about what the mistake they have done. So at the deathbed, they are desperate. They don't know how to tackle it. But if you are learning the mindfulness and the clear comprehension, little by little, you understand main thing is, darling, not to worry. Main thing is not to worry. Occasionally you can penetrate through and understand the word meaning of resilience, understand the word meaning of proprioception, and sometimes interoception. You feel hungry. You feel wish to go to washroom. So these things also happening, whatever the prolific thinking you have, whatever the pain you entertain, or not entertaining of course, you hate, so to say. And whatever the sounds happen, the interoception happens. So they are inbuilt capacities in human mind, we never use it. We consider it as something threatening ourselves or egotistic idea. But when you are developing mindfulness and the clear comprehension, occasionally you are making use or training the resilience, making use interoception, making use proprioception, and you find they are born with it. They are human rights. They are, we call birthright. If you are not mindful, you are born with ignorance and live with ignorance and dead with ignorance. Because we have not challenged it. So not only mindfulness, but with a clear comprehension, you get a chance to not to just give up. But amidst of all the troubled water, you can still maintain the balance of your ship, sailing, and sometimes you may sail, not with the full-fledged, but slowly sailing. So likewise, when it is happening, first and foremost, you forgive and forget yourself. Then only you become a qualified person to forgive and forget others. If you are not forgiving and forgetting yourself, you are a mercenary. You are a killer. Whatever you do is just show off. It's just to maintain the culture, just to maintain the etiquettes and all the kind of things. You are just camouflage. But the day you understand, the day you sympathize yourself, in a very little way, and when you keep on practicing, you find people are generally good. They do mistakes due to the circumstances. But if you are going to consider people are generally bad, that means your mind is bad. Whenever you are in this bad thinking, you find everything is bad. Climate is bad, world is bad, people are bad, and all the kind of thing. That is because your mind is not clear in comprehension. The day you understand it, first and foremost thing is you forgive and forget yourself. And it is also not imaginary. It is not just thinking, it is not contemplative. It's you experience, even though you have done a mistake by going off track, anytime you can come back at home. You can come back to your primary object. So whatever the mistake, they are rectifiable. It is forgive and forgettable. So when you are learning, I put single turn, you get rejuvenated. You feel like a newly born baby. Mistakes are there, but you know the way back home. And whenever we are sharing that kind of a thing in a discussion or in a group, we feel like brothers and sisters. Everyone's mistake is my mistake. And others also will forgive and forget about. Because we are not only try to be mindful, whenever you try to be mindful, you are very, very irritable. Mindfulness is a disease. It's like open wound. Whenever you try to be mindful, any person can irritate you. And then you will go into defense and telling, don't try and disturb my mindfulness. And because you are unwantedly irritating me. But when your mindfulness is going with clear comprehension, it's like a balm. And you can not to rush into a decision, but see through the distraction. And then see how quickly you can come back to your at-home situation or the resilience. And there you can, it is a fun. It is not regimentation. It is not fighting with meditation. It becomes a fun. So I think enough for the day. So I leave it at that level. So please make this retreat as a fun. That not that we are gossiping and talking, I am telling. But make it like a challenge. Add as much as possible clear comprehension into mindfulness and see how quickly, how fast you become pliable, you become amenable, not with the whole set of values and means, you can rectify them. And you can rethink about that. That's the point where the moral shame and moral fear come into being. And it is not that you have to do. It will appear like an endowment as a result of clear comprehension and the mindfulness. So hope we can experience some of it, part of it, partially, within these few days. With that hope, I would like to sum up the day's talk. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.